When you cross that finish line, like, I know it's more than you, the whole crew, everybody celebrates in it, but what did that feel like when you crossed that finish line and you knew you just had won the Daytona 500?
I mean, it's complete, like, elation. You feel like you're floating. Everything you want right there in that moment is there, and God's blessed us with so many blessings over my racing career, just life, meeting my wife and having kids. But that moment was pretty rewarding, and it was great to be with that team and the people that were on the team celebrating. Our teams always celebrate hard together, and you create a bond with that group that was in that moment for the rest of your life, really.
Welcome to the Winchester Life Podcast. Through insider access to industry pioneers, firsthand looks at cutting-edge tech advancements, and the stories behind the scenes that have shaped the world of shooting sports and hunting as we know it, we'll dive into the sacred places like deer camps and duck blinds, talk about innovation and shooting tips with the world's best, while revisiting age-old traditions of hunting and shooting still alive in our country. I'm your host, Jason Brown, and welcome to the show. The Winchester Life Podcast is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, Winchester Repeating Arms, Winchester Safes, White Flyer Targets, Folds of Honor, Birchwood Casey, Walkers, Winchester Pet, and Winchester Optics.
Some men are born into legacy. Others build it lap by lap, step by step, with steady hands and an unshakable heart. Austin Dillon has done both. Carrying the weight of a legendary name and the spirit of Richard Childress Racing, Austin has carved his own path in the fast lane, not just as a driver, but as a man of purpose. He's a husband, a father, and a believer. A soul anchored in faith, guided by family, and drawn to the quiet truths only the outdoors can offer. When he's not chasing victory on the track, he's chasing sunrises through the timber, hunting, fishing, living life the way it was meant to be, with intention, with honor, and with Winchester on the side of the number 3 car and in his rifle. Because for Austin Dillon, the race is never just about the finish line. It's about where you come from, who you love, and what you stand for. Welcome to the Winchester Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Brown. So this week on the Winchester Life Podcast, we're lucky enough to have Team Winchester and NASCAR driver Austin Dillon with us. Dude, it's in the middle of the race season. I know you're busy as heck, but thanks for carving out some time for us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. No, anytime I can get on and talk to a fellow hunter, and we've met before, Jason, and I'm glad that we're getting to hang out a little bit now and talk shop about the outdoors, maybe a little racing, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, man.
Winchester shotgun shells, what?
Oh, there's a lot. We'll get into it. But first, this year, a month ago probably, you and JP on your property, West Virginia. I know we filmed a hunt. Tell me about it. You were using TSS for the first time, Longbeard, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. So I got some shooting in before we went on the hunt, patterned my gun, and man, it was cool to see the differences in the TSS, and I was impressed right off the bat when we shot it in, but when we put it to work out in the field, JP actually was the one that I was looking at the shot. Foster came and filmed it. Yep. He's unbelievable. He's got some great videos of his own out there hunting, fishing, and some of his videos are viral on there. So it was awesome having him along with JP and I. And the first day was a little slow, and that's how it is. You bring out a good friend that's taken you to a bunch of different places and been successful hunting. And it was like my first time getting John Paul out in the woods at my new property. And it was like, oh, man, are we going to have anything to shoot? Like, we couldn't find a turkey track. Yeah. We heard 2 gobbles early. And I was like, oh, no, please just – I'd been seeing turkeys leading up to the hunt. Like, every time I'd go up, I'd see a group of turkeys. And So we slept on it that night, and I was like, man, I think that tomorrow's going to be better. And we woke up, and they were hammering pretty good. So we got on a group of turkeys and kind of got below them. And when you get below them, and like, it's kind of mountainous country up there in West Virginia where I'm at, it's hard to draw them down or call them down from above.
Yeah.
And JP and I, we both were like, man, we've gotten a little too low here, but they still worked their way to us. And they had us kind of pinned in a bad location. And I was looking at the shot, and Foster was on one of the Longbeards, and he had whispered something to me, and I was like, hey, like I've got him if you want to shoot. And I'm like, man, there's no way this turkey's too far away.
Yeah.
Well, they get a little closer, and it got out of my shooting range because JP was up the hill just a little bit from me, and he makes this awesome shot up the hill, smokes this turkey, and I'm like, dang. And I looked at Foster. He was like, man, with the TSS, you can take that shot that you had. And I was like, really?
It's crazy.
And I learned real quick how, the range that you gain and the shots you can take, because JP just walloped that turkey and made it a great shot. And then the next day we came to my house in North Carolina, and JP and I got on one, and I was able to smoke one. It was a much easier, closer shot than what JP had, but you can see on the film. I mean, he made a heck of a shot with that TSS.
Yeah, I looked at all the footage. So yeah, you guys had a good time. It's crazy. Like, for so long, Longbeard XR extended the range for years. We at 50 yards, we felt pretty comfortable with that. But man, Longbeard TSS, this year I think we killed 4 gobblers at 70 yards, and it's not like we were trying. It was
crazy.
Like that's as far as they're coming in, and stoned them.
Yep.
Like stoned them dead. And it's a game changer, man.
Yeah, I mean, the impact it creates, and it blew my mind. I'd seen some pretty good shots, I thought, and then JP makes that shot uphill, long range, and it just never, like, he has hunted enough turkeys to know what the shot he could make. And I've shot turkeys and throughout my life, but not as many as he has, by no means. So he made that shot, and I was like, dang, great shot. He's like, oh yeah, that TSS, it reaches out there.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. So I mean, is it hard to fit in spring turkey hunting in the middle of the season? Like, what's that look like? Is it post race, let's get on a plane and head out, or how's that set up?
Yeah, I just told JP, I was like, hey, man, if you want to come to West Virginia, I've got a lot of turkeys up here. Like, let's get on it. And he was like, well, I'm going to come to Talladega race. Why don't we just go back right after Talladega and go hunt? So we actually flew back to North Carolina and then hopped over to West Virginia, JP and I, and we hunted Monday morning and Tuesday. And then after JP shot his, I was like, hey, let's head back to my house. I know I got some Longbeards there. So yeah, you just try and get on them early, and I luckily it was after Talladega. I'd already kind of got my sim session in, which is usually on Tuesday evening. Yeah. So I'd hunt in the morning on Tuesday, and then I went to the sim session.
So I was going to ask you that. How realistic is the sim sessions now? Like, is it pretty close? I know it's probably progressed over the last 10 years, but talk about like what the sim session process is.
Yeah, it's pretty much the setup we bring each and every weekend. We develop it in the simulator. So it is as close as we think it can be before the race. And then usually we come back and we post what we've ran at the race to see how accurate it really was, to line up the graphs from the steering, the throttle, and the brakes. And, man, it's very hard what those engineers do to try and mimic our tires. The tires are the most important part of it. So they input all their technical numbers and things to get it there, and I just got to give them real life feedback. But GM is where the Chevy simulator is in Concord, and I drive down there on Tuesdays. I actually did the post yesterday evening, and I'm going back this afternoon to do our work for Mexico City, and then we'll probably do some Pocono in there as well. So we usually work on a 3-week ahead schedule. We do a little bit of each and then finish with the race that we're going to. But some weeks it's very accurate. Some weeks we miss it. Yeah. And we just try and make it as accurate as possible.
So those results, the input that you have from the sims, do you guys? How much weight do you put into that?
Well, now that we really don't have practice time where we can adjust the car, it is probably one of the, I'd say it's 40 to 50% of the direction that we take for the setup of the car. So
yeah,
we have to put a lot of weight into it, have to trust it, and then the rest of it goes back to history and the knowledge that we've gained over years at certain tracks, and try and take all that and make a great educated guess, and hopefully it pays off.
Yeah. I mean, so let's talk about this year. I mean, you have Bass Pro on the number 3. You've got Winchester. Obviously, with RCR, it's those are iconic brands in the hunting, shooting, sports, and conservation space. What's it like, and what's it mean to you as a person and as a driver to have partners like that?
Well, it's so special. I think of some of the cool partnerships we've done with Bass Pro Shops. Obviously, this is one of my favorite with Winchester, and tying those two brands together. And when we came together on Memorial Day weekend for the Coke 600, putting that big American flag down the car, and
yeah, it was awesome.
It's no more patriotic than having Bass Pro Shops, the American flag, Winchester on the side of the car. We had 600 miles of remembrance where we had a fallen soldier on the windshield, and so I love tying with partners that just make sense for your brand and what you want to be a part of. And for me, it's family, faith, and freedom, all those three things combining together. And Bass Pro Shops does such a great job of that. And Coca-Cola, they sell that in Bass Pro Shops. I've been a Coke family racing driver for a very long time. So all of our sponsors really align, and it creates good synergy, and it just makes it natural and easy to talk about subjects that you love when you're out of the race car.
Absolutely, man. And, being partnered with Bass Pro, I know you've probably known Johnny for a long time, and there's had to be over the years some opportunities to do, and you mentioned it earlier, some really cool hunts. Are there any that kind of stick out over the years that you've been able to do with Johnny and Bass Pro?
Yeah, I'm super fortunate to go with Johnny and JP on some really cool adventures and trips. There's been some great fishing trips. I think one of my favorite, because I love fishing, but I really love hunting.
Yeah.
And my favorite trip would probably be going out to Colorado, and I got my first bull elk with a bow out there with those guys. And it was a weird, like, Johnny Morris type of adventure where he calls you like a week and a half before. It's like, hey, can you shoot a bow? And I'm like, I can go get one. And I go get a bow. I shoot it in for like 6 days, 7 days. I had shot it, I had an old bow, but I hadn't been in tune. And went and got a brand new bow, shot it in, was ready to go up to Colorado, like second day on the trip, smoked this bull elk at like 35 yards, and it all just played out like it was pretty special to be on that trip. And I've shot an elk in Utah with them now, and man, I really like that elk hunting. It gets pretty intense fast, and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
a lot of people say, turkey hunting, they're just like big turkeys. There's a lot of the same principles when you turkey hunt as when you elk hunt. So I love to turkey hunt. I love to elk hunt as well. When you go out there, how much time do you have to prepare? I mean, I know September is usually peak bugle in Utah and Colorado. Do you have to plan, like, during that time, you still have races going on, right?
Yeah, you're flying back from a race usually most of the time, or you're going straight from a race to a hunting trip, because you got that Monday through Wednesday time frame, and you usually can only do it for a week and have to come back and kind of get ready for the next race. You got to do your homework before you leave, so you're ready and prepared for that race. But that time we get to spend in the field with Johnny and JP and some of the partners at Bass Pro Shops that come on some of those trips is as key as being ready at the racetrack sometimes, because those are the people that allow us to get to the track. But man, it is a lot of fun. Elk and turkey, it's the same kind of adrenaline pump that you get when they're coming in bugling, or they're gobblers just hammering back and forth at you. It's a lot of fun. I do definitely feel like the intensity of that adrenaline that it creates is awesome.
It's awesome, and you're communicating with an animal like that. It's just and you're tricking them. I think that's the cool part. So I know your RCR crew, you guys have a lot of guys that love to hunt, love the outdoors.
Yeah.
What's that mean for you, like just to have a crew that you guys have, obviously the racetrack and everything, it's business, it's day to day. But to sit down and talk hunting and fishing with those guys, that's a huge part of the culture, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot of fun when you're constantly in a business like racing and you're always talking about how to go fast. When you get to go to dinner that evening after being at the track all day, good day, bad day, whatever it is, and you can chat about, hunting together and just kind of get your minds off of things for a couple hours, it's really nice. And, my crew chief, Richard Boswell, has been huge on taking the guys out to shoot clay. We've gone to a couple different trap courses out in Texas. I think the guys went out in Talladega too and shot. So we've been testing out that Winchester ammo and then shooting some of the Winchester guns that have been provided to us. So it's been a lot of fun. And then teaching some of the guys that have never been in the outdoors, I think that's as rewarding. We've got a guy that's a military guy, his Army background, so he shot really well and was able to showcase his shooting skills from his Army background. And then you got guys that just never shot a gun. So it's fun getting them out there and showing them what it's like. And then they go shooting, and they're like, man, I really like this hobby. And I'm like, well, there's one thing you can go do next is go get you a Winchester.
That's right. Yeah, it's cool to see that connection that they have. A lot of people who haven't shot before, and when you can create like that that commonality with somebody in the outdoors, it hits pretty quick with a lot of these newbies. They want to come back and to get somebody in their 20s, 30s, 40s into it that's never been into it. That's like super rewarding to me.
Yeah, it really is. And we have an engineer from Australia who had shot some over there, and he came over. He was a pretty good shooter, and he talks about, what it's like in Australia and stuff like that. And I think, having young guys make an impression in the outdoors and then enjoy it. And like you said, it is nothing more rewarding than having a guy that's never pulled up a gun and you try and show them how to shoot a clay target. And it's like, hey, it's like other sports. You got to follow through.
That's right.
And you can show them different little things. And it's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. So you talked about elk hunting. Is there like a bucket list hunt that you're kind of like, man, I want to do that hunt if I ever have time? Maybe it's when you retire from racing, but is there something that is just sitting there like, I got to do that?
Man, I love whitetail deer hunting. Like that's what I'm ate up the most with, and I want to shoot a deer in the 190s, 200.
Yeah.
But I know how much time and effort that takes. It takes, I feel like, an entire off season or multiple doing the right things to kind of get there. But that's my ultimate, is to try and shoot a deer around 200-inch mark. Would be super special. I mean, that's a hole in one. That's everything. And then just traveling and going places to shoot deer. I think that'd be fun. My grandfather's hunted all around the world. He took us to Africa, and I enjoyed some of that stuff. But I still I love the way deer are, and getting after them and the genetics part of it and watching a setup and putting a setup together and then having the deer come into that.
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and I know I saw on your Instagram feed you're putting in food plot. I don't know, maybe a couple weeks ago. You had your kid with you, and that was your West Virginia property, wasn't it?
Yeah. Taking Ace out is really fun, and getting him out in the outdoors. And now he's starting to know like the different stands on the property. And when we're chatting the night before, which is some of the best time when you're just hanging out around a campfire, chatting about where we're going to go in the morning, I'll ask Ace, where do we need to hunt in the morning? And he'll throw his input in there and just kind of start saying, well, I think, Blaze's stand. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that one. He's like, Dad, it's going to be good. So when you can have those conversations with your little one, I'm hoping, he's turning 5 this year.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm going to start getting him shooting. I got him a new Winchester 22.
Yep. So
we're going to get him out there shooting that and maybe get him comfortable enough to get a turkey. He sat in a turkey blind with me, and my manager, Austin Craven, his daughter, actually, we got her on a turkey, and she smoked it with 12 gauge and with TSS. Like, it about knocked her out of the seat, not going to lie. She don't weigh nothing.
Yeah.
And but we didn't really tell her what she was getting into, but she did a great job, smoked this turkey, and Ace Ace was like in the bottom of the blind playing with some race cars.
Yeah.
I had his earmuffs on, and when we shoot the turkey, he pops up, and he's like, oh, I'm like, get out there and get him. So we pushed Ace and Michaela out there, and they ran out there to the turkey flopping. And so I think he's going to be ate up with it, because when I got back, he goes, Dad, next year I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, it's yours next year, pal.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're doing it right. Like, not to force them out and just have it be totally on them to be involved, and, asking their involvement, what stands. I mean, that's just stuff that the input, that means a lot to a kid. And, the great thing about Longbeard TSS, you can shoot the sub gauges. That 410's lethal as hell to 35 yards.
Yeah, we should have gave her the 410. I'm going to get one of those for Ace.
Yeah.
It was just kind of one of those last-minute deals. She had asked her dad, like, she wanted to go turkey hunting. I'm like, look, I got this one that we can get set up on. It's at my house. Like, I know what its patterns are. We set up a blind. We literally were in there for probably 45 minutes. I hit, like, 2 calls, and here it comes right to the decoy. And she smoked it, but we didn't give her the option to have the 20 gauge, the 410. There's so many, and that's what Foster was telling me, how good the 410s are. I guess that's what all they use out there.
Oh yeah,
in where he's at, South Dakota.
South Dakota. He's got a gun, 410. He's got over 100 kills on that gun, and he puts a notch in every time. And this has only been done over like 5 or 6 years. Crazy, but he's a fanatic. Out there.
He's got that call, too, that all the notches on it, on his call, on his box call. He was carrying it around.
You got to get out there next year if you have time, man. That's he does a pretty good job out there. So historically, traditionally, do you guys have in your family, are there any like traditions that you guys have passed down or carry on in the hunting space, in your hunting camps?
Well, I got a Polaroid camera. Like when we first went to Texas out deer hunting when I was a kid with my grandfather, they always would take a Polaroid picture of the animal that you got, and you write your name on it, autograph it, and the date.
Love that.
So when JP and I got that turkey at my property, we went up to the this little area that we take pictures on. We took a couple Polaroids, and Foster was like, I want one of those too. So he got a Polaroid, took it home with him. I got the Polaroid of JP and I in my truck. So we're going to create a wall at the cabin up there and just have all the memories. I love those Polaroids, and you can kind of look back on them. They're not great pictures, but it's the memory that matters. Yeah, man, it doesn't matter. I have so many of those. Like when I grew up, it was my peak hunting when I was 15, I was like in the 90s. So that's all we pretty much had. we had other stuff, but we had Polaroids. And in my hunting book that I have from when I was little, it's just all Polaroids. And right on the bottom, we'd put, this was on the river stand or whatever that might be. And there's just something to that where you can connect to that picture differently than you can a digital swipe. It's completely Yeah, I always
different.
go through those Polaroids and look when we were in Texas, and I was like, all right, that's the biggest deer here.
Yeah.
I want to be that Polaroid right there. I want to get that one. So I'm hoping that we just grow our wall up there in my hunting property and have a lot of good memories based off of that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. So let's go back in time. You're a young guy, and you're behind the scenes in the racing world. How did all of that influence you? Do you remember stuff when you were growing up? How little can you remember the racing? Racing when you were little. Going to the racetrack with my grandfather, watching him do business at the track, and then, being connected to my dad when he was racing. He drove for a long time, and as a kid being at the track, you just grew up there, and that's what you knew, and it was so much fun. And as time went on, you got older, you started going to school, and you still were connected to racing. I always connected racing to Dale Earnhardt winning races and pizza, because when Dale won, we had pizza on Sunday. Yeah. And he won a lot during that time frame. So it was a lot of fun to watch races and be a part of them and tune in. And it was just all we grew up around. Yeah. So it's just part of your, part of who you are, really. That's right. Did you feel any pressure to get into racing, or is it just something that like you wanted to do? Yeah, I think my mom and dad were very good about not pushing us to get into racing too early or like force us to race. It was really on our timeline because they wanted us to try other sports. I played baseball, basketball, football, and loved every minute of it. Truthfully, my brother was probably the first one to make the push for racing, and when he did that, I kind of followed along the same suit. So it turned out to work out, because my growing stopped around that 12 to 13 age, and
Yeah.
I got the same size as everybody in a race car. So
Yeah.
I like that.
And Ty's younger than you, right? Younger brother?
Yeah, Ty's 2 years younger than me.
2 years younger. And you guys both race every week, right?
Yeah, no, we're racing against each other, and he gave up a pretty interesting stat the other day. We've raced in 250 Cup races together, and I think there's only 3 sets of brothers that have done that, and it's the Bushes and the Labanis and us. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool to have
awesome.
a brother in the same sport and getting that many starts in.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's so cool. So since 2005, you've had over 400 races professionally, one at Daytona, Xfinity, Truck Series, Rookies of the Year award. What moment in your career means the most to you? Or is it something like that's less obvious, something that's not a win, something that kind of built you to where you are?
Well, I think there's a lot of moments in that racing career that I could probably point at. Your first Cup victory just solidifies all the work that you did getting there, and that was the Coke 600, which is a big win. The Daytona 500 is the biggest win. That was special, and but to me, probably the last win is as cool as any because I got to bring my daughter and my son to victory lane, and that's one thing. You just never know when your last win is going to be.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make sure that both my kids got to go to victory lane, and they've done that, and I want to do it again. But, that win was so controversial. It was a sick Bass Pro Shops car that we took that weekend to Richmond, the hunt and sale car. And it was a race that we were going to walk away with 2 laps to go, and then a caution comes out, and then all hell breaks loose. And I did what it took to win and, get that victory, even though NASCAR didn't love it. I got the win. I got the trophy, and they didn't really let me play in the playoffs. But
you got zapped for that.
It was still
Whatever.
worth every minute.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm with you. To take that win away with your kids and everything, man, that's special. That's a special deal. I remember when all that was going on, it was pretty wild. It was all over everywhere.
Yes, it was.
It was actually probably good PR, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like we won either way after that.
Yeah, for sure. So talking about Daytona 2018, it's a track you always seem to do well at, and you always seem to be in the top. You won, and that's to me, it's winning the Masters, Stanley Cup. It's such a huge accomplishment in the racing world. When you cross that finish line, I know it's more than you, the whole crew, everybody celebrates in it, but what did that feel like when you crossed that finish line and you knew you just had won the Daytona 500?
I mean, it's complete elation. You feel like you're floating. Everything you want right there in that moment is there, and God's blessed us with so many blessings over my racing career, just life, meeting my wife and having kids. But that moment was pretty rewarding, and it was great to be with that team and the people that were on the team celebrating. Our teams always celebrate hard together, and you create a bond with that group that was in that moment for the rest of your life, really.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What I think is wild too is so 3 years earlier on the same track, Coke 400, you get in a massive wreck. Visually, I think it's probably one of the most wild wrecks I've ever seen. You were airborne, upside down, went into the fence. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the race, but on the radios, he was visibly concerned, freaking out, because what he saw in his So, and that was the final lap of the race. You somehow come out of that pretty much unscathed. You walked away. There was race crews everywhere running to the car. Walk me through that whole situation.
Yeah, we're coming to the end of the race. It's Jeff Gordon's last Daytona race, I believe, and I'm behind him, and I'm like, well, we're going to finish in the top 10 here. I'm just going to push Jeff to the end because there was no gaps. And then we get to the start-finish line, and I see a car start to get turned loose, and I think it's Denny. And I go to dodge it, and it clips my right front. And when that happens, the car just takes flight, and I'm flipping upside down. It's kind of Talladega Nights from that point on, like I'm really flying through the air right now.
Yeah.
And you're just, tucking and holding on. And I know I just closed my eyes at that point. And you get ripped around there and land, and you're skidding, and I open my eyes, and I see, the sparks from the roof flying underneath me, upside down. But I'm like, all right, you're good, you're good, you're good. And I'm talking to myself, and then I'm like, all right, I kind of relaxed. And about that time, Brad Keselowski comes in. It felt like 30 seconds later and just whacks me again.
Yeah.
And at that point, I got mad at that point. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. And so then I'm like, I unbuckled myself, which when you unbuckle yourself when you're upside down, you fall to the roof. Yeah. And then I'm like bear crawling out the side of the car, get out, and your adrenaline. Like, I think I could have lifted the race car at that point.
Yeah.
But,
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. That's
wild, man. I know that's. I think a lot of people still say that's like in the top of all-time wrecks at that track. So it's pretty wild to see you walk away from it. I know a lot of people were probably relieved with that, but
yeah. The hardest part, my grandfather was screaming on the radio, like wanting me to respond, and the radios were ripped out of the car, so I could hear him in panic.
He was freaking out,
and I couldn't tell him I was okay. Yeah. That was kind of a sad moment at the time. I was like, hey, I couldn't tell him that was good.
Yeah, it's wild. And then the you have to mentally.
And it's bad when the radios are ripped out of the car.
Yeah, for sure. You have to mentally reset though after that, right? I mean, like how do you do that? How do you, after a massive wreck like that, how do you get in that car again? But is that just something that's built in?
I think it was built in when I was a kid. We rode horses there for a little while as a kid. Remember the first time I got bucked off, I was like, I never want to get back on a horse again. And the lady that was training was like, get back on the horse.
Yeah.
You're riding it back to the barn. And I was like, okay, it's the same thing. Like, sometimes if you look at it the right way, you survive a wreck or take an impact like that, it's like, oh, shit, there ain't nothing that can bother me. You feel more like Superman after a while, if you haven't hit the wall hard, that's when you're just like, I don't know if I really want to hit it. And then you hit it, and you're like, oh, it's either like that sucked or I'll be all right. I'm going to drive harder next time.
Yeah.
It's cowboy up kind of mentality on it.
Stay tuned for part 2 of this week's conversation. But first, after the break, we'll talk with Winchester's Ben Frank and dive into everything ammunition on our weekly Ammo 101 segment. This portion of the Winchester Life Podcast has been brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, a world leader in delivering innovative products. Winchester is the American legend, a brand built on integrity, hard work, and a deep focus on its loyal customers. Considered one of the world's leading ammunition manufacturers, Winchester has built its reputation on delivering innovative ammunition products, providing top-shelf customer service, and demonstrating industry leadership. To learn more, visit winchester.com. Winchester Optics. The Winchester Supreme line of optics offers rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, and rangefinders for all of your shooting and hunting needs. To learn more, visit worldofwinchester.com. Winchester Repeating Arms. The guns that work with a reputation built on reliability. Winchester rifles and shotguns are built tough, with superior fit and finish. Winchester firearms are built to exceed expectations. To learn more, visit winchesterrepeatingarms.com.
Ammo 101 segment today. We've got Ben Frank from Winchester with us, and we're going to talk a little bit about Longbeard XR. Ben, welcome to the Winchester Life Podcast, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Longbeard XR. I mean, this was something about 10 years ago, right? That you guys launched into the market.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years, and it really was a game changer in the turkey hunting woods. I mean, I know you guys have shot it a bunch. I've shot it. I mean, probably any serious turkey hunter has at some point either kill the turkey with or pattern Longbeard.
Now, in the beginning, what made it, and still does, what makes it so special? Why does it hold that pattern so well?
Yeah, so when you go back to when we developed it, really the biggest technology in turkey hunting was buffering. So everyone was putting some kind of buffer into the shot, and that's really just to kind of take up the space in between the shot so that whenever you shoot it, it doesn't put a bunch of flat spots on the shot, and that ends up causing your pattern to spread. So we all know when you're turkey hunting, you want it to be really tight. So we were trying to figure out what would be the perfect buffer system to be able to protect those pellets upon firing. And we did a bunch of testing with different things, and we came up with that shot lock material, which that shot lock material is to this day one of the more amazing technologies that I've seen, even, in the industry, but not just for Winchester, just industry in total. That really was a huge game changer. I mean, like, it took turkey loads from, maybe a 35 to 40 yard turkey load to now all of a sudden you're able to take turkeys at 60 yards plus, which was unheard of.
So explain what that technology is. How's it work, and what gives it the ability to hold those patterns so far?
Well, for the person who's just maybe trying to kind of figure it out, the best way I could describe it is maybe like a 2-part epoxy. So imagine when you're putting epoxy together and you're bringing that stuff together and then it hardens up. Well, that's basically what we do, something similar to that. It's a totally different materials. It's not epoxy, but those come together, and we put that down in the shell with the shot, and it's basically in liquid form at that point. And then it solidifies, and it takes up all of that space in between those pellets. And it truly is the perfect buffering system. And upon firing, the way that material is made, unlike epoxy that would pretty much stay as a solid piece, this stuff breaks into a bunch of fine particles that allow those pellets to release and then go downrange and get after the turkey.
Yeah. So, and you guys, I think, what do you call that, microgrex or whatever, when it kind of turns into, the way I think about it's like rock candy. And in that, when that impact happens, it disintegrates. And if you slow the footage down, and we've done a lot of super high speed photography and video with the Longbeard XR, and when it comes out, it almost looks like a dust or like a white comes out of the end of that. But what it really is that's that shot lock technology, that microgrex coming out of the end of that barrel, and it's holding that pattern, that shot in more of a line, right?
Yes. And that was the key, is imagine you're putting something around those pellets. It's got to come off the pellets 100%, because if it's still attached to them at all, now all of a sudden your pellets aren't round again and they're not flying straight. So we had to do some things to be able to ensure that material would release from those pellets. And we still do all that stuff today. And that's really what allows those things to stay round. Like you said, it happens inside the shell, inside your barrel. And as it's coming out of the muzzle, it's already released from those pellets. And then they're moving forward. They're retaining that velocity and energy and staying tight, which is, was the 100% goal behind Longbeard. And, that's a lead turkey load, right? So we're able to provide really incredible patterns that you're not going to see with really any other lead turkey load. I don't care if it's a mixed payload, stacked payloads. If it's a lead turkey load, there's nothing that's going to outperform Longbeard.
So somebody might ask themselves, Longbeard TSS has been introduced. Why would I still use Longbeard XR? What would you tell somebody that has that question?
I would say that someone who has that question is, Longbeard XR is always going to be cheaper and potentially more available than, say, TSS. I mean, TSS is tungsten. It's a lot more expensive. The performance is, definitely there in terms of like just the number of pellets you can get, particularly on smaller gauges. I would say that's where the TSS really kind of stands out, is in those smaller gauges. But if you do pattern test Longbeard versus TSS, you'll be surprised at how well that it will stack up with TSS. You're not going to have quite as many pellets. You're not going to be able to get quite as much range out of lead, but it's still pretty incredible performance when you're talking about 60-yard turkey patterns. So I think if you're talking about, again, working with smaller gauges like a 410 or 20 or 28, I mean, heck, 20 gauge Longbeard's a great product too, but it's just different strokes for different folks kind of thing. And you will get more performance out of TSS, but Longbeard's still an amazing product.
It is. And I think, up to 30, 35 yards, 40 yards, it's the pellet count on a pattern board, even when we are running the XR now, it's incredible. It still is. We pride ourselves in bringing birds in as close as we can. I mean, that's just part of how we like to turkey hunt. I think it's how a lot of guys like to turkey hunt. But Longbeard XR for 10 years has been the go-to. It's been the number one. We've killed hundreds of gobblers with Longbeard XR, and it's still the most deadly lead shot shell out there, right?
Everyone is always trying to innovate and come up with the next best thing, right? Well, if you don't have Longbeard, it's possible you don't have the TSS loads we have today, because we're constantly looking to innovate, continue to grow, continue to improve that performance of just about anything we do. And Longbeard took that to the next level. And now you see us with Longbeard TSS taking yet another step forward in performance, which is pretty cool. And that's what we're trying to do all the time, is to continue to build products that are going to be the best of the best.
Amen to that. Well, look forward to turkey season. It's coming up here. It's really upon us. You going anywhere for turkey season this year?
Typically I just hunt around home. So my folks got about 40 acres, and luckily there's a group of turkeys that typically roost around that area. So from time to time we get lucky. They sometimes want to hang out at the neighbors, but that's probably where I'll be going here in Illinois. So how about you?
We've got Missouri, Ohio, and Michigan here in the home state on the books. So, yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to use some Longbeard XR just like we have for the last 11 or 12 years. It's been a good run for us here in Michigan. But yeah, if you can get up here, man, I'd love to hunt with you.
Heck yeah, that'd be great, man.
Coming up next on the Winchester Life Podcast is part 2 of our guest conversation. But first, a few words from our partners. The Winchester Life Podcast is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, Winchester Repeating Arms, Winchester Safes, White Flyer Targets, Folds of Honor, Birchwood Casey, Walkers, Winchester Pet, and Winchester Optics.
So when you're out there, how much racing to you is strategic? I know we were talking about sims earlier. How much is strategic and how much is instinct when you're out there?
Man, a lot of it's instinct at the beginning of those restarts, because you're just you're trying to react to what the guy in front of you is doing. And if you can time it right, you can get an advantage. And, your reaction to their move, or knowing the guy, what he's going to do, is really important, because some guys kind of give you a tail, and you're trying not to give them any kind of that information. So it's your instincts and the strategy behind it really plays into it. So we do a lot of studying on that, and what lines to choose and when. And you make multiple mistakes throughout a race, but you're just hoping that you make the right ones at the right time, the right moves.
Yeah. So how does carrying on the legacy of RCR and the number 3 car, like how does that influence you? Do you think about that when, during the course of a regular day? Or, I mean, it's probably so ingrained in you at this point, you don't even really think about it. But is there a responsibility that you feel you owe to your grandfather and the team, or is, how do you think about that?
Yeah, obviously my grandfather is a guy who's like a stalwart in our garage, a guy that's always going to be there, and he's Elvis of that garage. So you want to keep that brand that he's created going and push it along the best you can. But I want to grow it. I want to make it bigger than what it is now, and have great aspirations for it. And so anytime that I'm thinking, it's about how do we make this thing bigger, better for the employees that we have, and hopefully I get to make that imprint along the way.
Right on. Yeah. Is there something day to day, the dynamics within your team like that go unnoticed? I'm sure a lot goes unnoticed by the fans and by people, but what can you talk about, like the dynamics of your team day to day? What's something that happens that a lot of people don't even realize?
I think just the large scale that we operate at, that the circus that we move week in to week out. You know, our schedule is probably one of the toughest schedules out of every sport. I'll put it up against any. Baseball has a lot of games, but we're working from February 14th to Thanksgiving pretty much, you know, and then we got 2 off months really, and in January we're already doing the preparation for the first week in Daytona in February. So it is a grind, and it is hard on a lot of friends and family here at the shop, the employees, families. You know, everybody is touched in a different way by what we're trying to do. And you can get caught up in that easily, that this is the world we're in and there's a whole other world out there. But this is what we've chosen and you know, what we're about, and we're trying to operate at a very high level every weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that culture is important too, you know, the stuff you guys have in common, because it's just like any workplace where, you know, there has to be something in common outside of work. And I think that helps a lot of the tougher times. And just like any sport, NASCAR is a sport, you have a team. When times are tough, you need that extra bond. You need that something beyond the track and to connect with somebody with. And when you know their family, you know your friends, that makes a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those are my buddies and my friends, the people here at this shop, and I'm so close to all of our guys, all of the people here. I've got relationships with a lot of people, and those are the ones you want to go to the fight with and track and fight with.
Yeah.
You know, when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
But you know, you just create relationships and bonds over time, and when people come and go, you still have those relationships because you've created history with them in the racing business. So a lot of my friends that were on my Xfinity teams that have moved on to other teams, I talk to all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a tight group. You know, I think as big as the racing landscape is, and people move around and you stay connected, and I think it's kind of like the hunting space in a lot of ways. You know, guys move from company to company, and you know, but you still stay in touch with them over the years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you got to see them every weekend too. So
Yeah.
I mean, even your competitors, it gets tough. You know, you got to see them every weekend in some form or fashion.
Yeah, exactly. So Mount Rushmore of race car drivers, who you putting on there?
Oh, man, for me, you got to go with the 3-7 times. So Dale, Richard Petty, Jimmy Johnson. And then I got to give a fourth. Mount Rushmore. Fourth has got to be for me, I guess Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that choice. In all honesty, you can't go wrong with it.
Yep.
I know you love sports. You love hoops. You love golf. You love all these things. If you had a Mount Rushmore of athletes across all sports, who'd you put on that?
Michael Jordan, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Tom Brady.
Of course.
There's two. Trying to spread it out here. Baseball would be. Oh man.
So we got
Baseball, Babe Ruth would be pretty awesome. We were talking about that other day, Babe Ruth. Think if you could get an autograph from a Babe Ruth back in the day. If you were a fan sitting at the fence and you got an autographed baseball from Babe Ruth, pretty epic. You know,
epic.
Ohtani's on some of those directional wavelengths right now.
Oh God, what he's doing is insane.
Yeah. And fourth.
I mean, we got hockey, golf. I mean, throw out there.
Yeah. Tiger is pretty impressive too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm gonna throw Earnhardt up there. The impact of those people that we're talking about.
Yeah,
Earnhardt's
buddy.
got that kind of legendary impact.
No, I agree.
So
That's a solid group. No, I can't argue with any of those. Yeah, I think Ohtani, it's funny, he's not to get off on sports and stuff, but what he's doing right now, get up on the mound on the hill and throw BBs at a hundo, and then get in the box and hit 485-foot bombs. Like, the guy is next level, incredible.
He's impressive. He's impressive, and
yeah,
it's cool. I actually had a baseball card signed by Ohtani that I pulled out of a pack, and I sold it.
Oh.
So I sold it for I sold it for $18,000, but now it'd probably be worth more than that.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, was it a 1 of 1 or what was it?
It was out of 75.
Oh jeez!
It was out of 75, and I still got 18 out of it on a golden auction.
Well, that covered an elk hunt. That's a pretty solid deal.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was trying to, pay back all the bills that I had on buying cars. It took that much just to get that one.
Yeah. So you talk about being a father. How's that changed the way you approach and the way you think about racing? Is there is it different?
Well, you want to stay diligent for your kids, and you hope they notice the hard work that you put in, and it pays off, and never give up mentality, and that it rubs off on them, and they see you're out there fighting for them more than anything, that's where my full focus is trying to show them a little bit about life and how it can be hard. You can win and you lose. In NASCAR, you're going to lose a lot more than you win, but you never give up.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I think, you see these golf tournaments now, like everybody that has a kid, when they, win it on the 18th, they bring the kid out, the wife comes out, and they make it a deal. And I think it's important. It's become, I think, more in front of the it's been more in front of the cameras now than it ever has been, including your kids in big moments in your life as an athlete. So, yeah, man, I think there might not be, and I have 2 boys that are, one just graduated from high school, one's in high school, but to think of the moments they can have celebrating and watching their dad go out and win and be successful and compete against some of the best athletes on the planet and stand in the winner's circle. Dude, I mean, there can't be anything better than that.
Yeah, it's cool. I take Ace to our autograph session every week at the track, and he helps me up there when I'm signing autographs, and he'll sign an autograph or hand me a pin, and it's memories that I'll never take for granted, and things I'll think about for the rest of my life at least.
Yeah, well, and they will too, obviously.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. A little side story question real quick. Life in the Fast Lane, USA Series. Did you do 2 seasons or 1 season of that?
We did 1 full season of that, and it did pretty well. It actually outperformed the other NASCAR show.
Yeah.
And it is the single biggest question I get asked, like, hey, when are you bringing back Life in the Fast Lane? And USA Network went to a game show, they did game shows after that. I wish we could have got a second season because it was a lot of fun. And at first, I actually didn't like it. I didn't like the whole thing. I was pretty adamant about how things were filmed and what we did as a group.
Authentically. You wanted to be authentic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be any real drama in a show about me because I don't like drama.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to fabricate anything. And I think that's what was cool about it. You could find a character that you liked in our show, follow them, and it was fun, and it showcased our family and what we were about, and people really gravitated that. And that's literally the biggest question I get asked every weekend at those autograph sessions is, hey, when are you bringing the show back? And maybe one day we'll get it going, a YouTube series or something.
Yeah.
We just got to find the right people to be it. But I really enjoyed working with our producer. He did a good job with it.
How'd that come to fruition? Obviously you guys pitched it, or did they come to you?
Actually, they came to us. It was a group came to us, and we did a couple Zoom calls. And I was super skeptical the whole time, but we got the ball across the goal line, and we went all in, and we knew it was going to be tough because we were right in the beginning of racing season. And luckily, I performed well at that point in the season, and for the show, had some good runs.
Yeah.
This is the first year of that next-gen car, and it all played out good.
Yeah. And that was that 2022 when you did that?
Yeah. it
So
was.
you won the 600 Coca-Cola 600 that year, right, or no?
No, I won Texas maybe that year. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That was later in the year. But, I ran second at Fontana when we were there, which was cool to have the show there. You want to compete well when you're doing something like
Right.
that mid-season, that it does not get called a distraction. If you didn't have the show, you'd run better.
Yeah,
Because every, fanboy in America goes right to the excuses when you post anything other than what your job is.
Yeah, exactly.
So little do they know that you're allowed to think about something else for a minute of the day.
Yeah. So it didn't require too much extra time. I mean, we've done a lot of those shows before, and trust me, we had a great series on Travel Channel, and after the first year, they said, nah, we're gonna do more ghost hunting. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
And so I get it. They changed gears a lot, but what was the production schedule like for you guys in that? Was it a lot of extra work?
No, they would schedule everything out when they were going to film and come be a part of things. And it was probably, I don't know how many days it ended up being, where you'd come in and you work for like 2 hours at a production studio, like doing the ones where you're pretty much rewatching your show and then commentating over it. So, I mean, there was some of that, but it never was, I'm used to a lot more time with NASCAR. I feel like, it's such a grind that those things are just another additional appearance once a week usually that I was having to go do. So we'd keep it caught up by doing, a 3-4 hour period once a week.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so it wasn't too much of a distraction.
No.
So NASCAR, ripe tradition of hunting in the outdoors. Your grandfather and Bill Jordan, long history together. Who are some of the best hunters you know in racing? Some of the guys that are just they're caught up in it. They love it. Some of the guys that in the off season go different places. Who in racing is that guy?
Well, I made up with it pretty good. Every now and then I talk to Michael McDowell. I know he hunts a little bit. My brother hunted a lot when we were younger, and now I took him back to West Virginia. He got his first deer that he's shot in a very long time. So I'm getting him back in the woods a little. Who else likes the outdoors and hunting and fishing? Martin Truex and Ryan Newman were my guys. Those guys love to hunt and get in the outdoors, but they're both retired now, so that contingency's kind of gone. You see some of these other guys that are starting to get into it, but a lot of them are into golf. But the outdoors, like I said, you had the older contingency when I was first in the Cup Series. There's a lot more guys that were hunting. Dale Jr., Martin, and Ryan Newman. We went on some trips. I went on some trips with Ryan and Martin to Missouri, to the Bass Pro property there, and we had some fun times doing that. But yeah, those are the ones that are solid hunters but now are mostly retired. Kyle Busch is starting to like hunting too. He's asked me about a bow for Brexton. He's been they went to Texas and got on some animals, and so he wants to go turkey hunting. He's showing a lot of interest in it right now.
That's cool. So 30 years from now, what do you want people to say about Austin Dillon as a person, as a racer? What type of legacy do you want to leave?
Oh, man, I just want him to know that I'm a man of my word. I follow through and was there for my family and, my faith, about God, that I love God. And my dad, he's been putting on a Bible study up here at RCR and bringing a lot of men to it to get to know God, and seeing him like fall in love with that passion is made me even want to be better as a human and do more, learn more about God, because every day I feel like you can learn something. And but yeah, I think just 3 things that I talked about earlier. It's just faith, family, and freedom, and then just being a man of your word and having good morals. That's the only thing that really matters to me, is the people that know me, that I was a good person, right? That's pretty much it.
Amen, man. Amen. So last thing, what's on the agenda this fall? Do you have any trips on the docket? What do you got?
This fall I'll be, going up to my property hopefully quite a few times. I've been doing some land clearing. I've been working on food plots and learning about that. It's the first time we've put a little effort into that this year, and I'm trying to grow that and do it right. Like we went and killed off a bunch of spots and then we planted them for like a summer mix, and it came up okay, but I think I messed some things up. So I'm learning along the way, and you get all the opinions of all the farmers and the locals and your neighbors, and it's fun, like dialing that process in. So as much as anything this winter, I just want to make my property better than what it was the year before and try and move that needle. I've got some pretty good deer up there, but we're trying to grow them. And I don't know. I do want to do I looked at a South Dakota deer hunt online.
Yeah.
Like just going out there and try and get on one out there. I might go to Utah. I think I'm scheduled to go to Utah again, go elk hunting. So those are the two big ones.
Boom. That sounds like a good fall, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you hanging out with us and chatting, for 45 minutes or so. And good luck the rest of the season. And good luck in the fall, in the woods this fall.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Winchester, for all you guys do for the podcast and for our race team. And can't wait to get out in the woods and do a little shooting.
Right on, man. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this week's show. Please make sure you click the follow button on your podcast apps so you never miss a new episode. This episode was produced by Aaron Cox and Jason Gilbertson, engineered by Jason Freer, directed by Chad Andrus, written and edited by Jason Brown, with behind-the-scenes photography by Kelsey Myers. I'm Jason Brown, and you've been listening to the Winchester Life Podcast. See you next time.